The moment the single father stepped off the plane in Japan, he believed he had finally escaped the one place where his heart had been breaking. He had been sent halfway around the world by the CEO who barely looked at him, given a business assignment no one else wanted, and told to finish it alone. But on the third morning, as he stood outside his hotel holding his little daughter's photograph in one hand, the elevator doors opened behind him, and the woman he least expected to see walked into the lobby. She had no assistant, no security team, and no business reason to be there. What she carried in her hands would force him to question everything he thought he knew about her. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness can change a person's life and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Hardworking Dad. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories like this to you. 38-year-old Arven Cole had learned to live without expecting anyone to rescue him. Every morning began before sunrise, not because he loved waking early, but because his 6-year-old daughter, Mira, needed breakfast before school and someone had to pack her lunch. Arven worked as a project manager for a powerful international technology company in Seattle, where his new CEO, Seraphina Vale, was known for her brilliance, discipline, and almost frightening emotional distance. She was the kind of woman who could walk into a room full of executives and make everyone straighten their backs without saying a word. Arven respected her, but he never expected her to notice him beyond his reports and deadlines. Life had not been easy since his wife passed away 3 years earlier. He had become both father and mother to Mira, learning how to braid hair badly, cook simple dinners, attend parent meetings, and quietly wipe away his own exhaustion so his daughter would never see how tired he was. He kept her photograph inside his wallet, a small picture taken on a rainy afternoon when she was laughing beneath a red umbrella. It reminded him that no matter how difficult life became, he had one reason to keep moving. Then came the Japan assignment. The company had a major partnership meeting in Tokyo, and a crucial manufacturing project was in danger of collapsing. Seraphina called Arven into her office late one afternoon and told him he would leave within 48 hours. He tried to explain that he was a single father and had never been away from Mira for more than 2 nights. But Seraphina simply said the project needed someone dependable. Arven swallowed his disappointment and agreed because he desperately needed the job. The hardest part was saying goodbye to Mira at the airport. He knelt beside her, promising he would call every night. She hugged him tightly and slipped a tiny paper crane into his jacket pocket, telling him it would protect him because she had made it herself. Arven smiled even though his eyes burned with tears. He boarded the plane carrying a suitcase, a laptop, his daughter's photograph, and the uncomfortable feeling that he was abandoning the person who mattered most. Tokyo greeted him with bright streets, clean sidewalks, crowded trains, and a strange sense of loneliness. Everything was beautiful, but none of it felt like home. The company had booked him into a modern hotel in a quiet business district. His first day was filled with meetings that stretched into evening. The Japanese partners were polite but increasingly frustrated because the contract details had been changed without their approval. Arven discovered that someone at headquarters had sent them an outdated proposal, creating confusion that could cost the company millions. He spent the entire night rebuilding the presentation. Around 2 a.m, he called Mira. She was already asleep, so he listened to her breathing through the phone while her grandmother held it near her bed. Arven whispered goodnight even though Mira could not hear him. After the call ended, he sat alone beside the hotel window and stared at Tokyo's lights. For the first time, he wondered whether success was worth the price he was paying. The next morning, Arven went downstairs for breakfast and noticed something unusual. A young hotel employee was struggling to carry a large box near the entrance. Without thinking, Arven helped her. He did not know that someone was watching from across the lobby. Seraphina Vale had arrived in Japan. Arven froze when he saw her. She wore a simple dark coat instead of her usual executive suit, and there was no entourage around her. For several seconds neither of them moved. Arven could not understand why she was there. Seraphina looked at him with an expression he had never seen before, not cold, not commanding, but uncertain. She had not come for the company meeting. She had come because of him. For the next few hours, Arven remained suspicious. He assumed something had gone wrong at headquarters. Perhaps the project was in greater danger than he knew. Perhaps she had come to replace him. But Seraphina refused to discuss business immediately. Instead, she asked about Mira. That question unsettled him more than any corporate crisis could have. Seraphina admitted that she had seen the photograph of Mira on Arven's desk several weeks earlier. She had also noticed how often he checked the time during meetings because he wanted to call his daughter. At first, she had considered his family responsibilities a weakness. She believed leadership required people to sacrifice everything personal for success. But something had happened before she left Seattle. Her elderly father had collapsed at home, and while she was sitting beside him in the hospital, he had asked her why she had spent her entire life building a company but almost no time building a life. His question had stayed with her. For the first time, Seraphina realized she had become the kind of person who measured human beings only by their usefulness. She had sent Arven to Japan because she trusted him professionally, but she had failed to understand what the assignment was costing him personally. Then she revealed the real reason she had flown there. The Japanese partnership was not actually failing because of Arven. Someone inside the company had deliberately altered the contract documents to make him appear responsible. The evidence had been discovered after Arven left Seattle. Seraphina had come personally because she did not trust anyone else with the investigation, and because she knew Arven might be blamed for something he had not done. Arven was stunned. For days he had been carrying the fear that one mistake could cost him his career and, ultimately, his daughter's stability. Now he realized someone had tried to destroy the very life he had worked so hard to protect. Together, they spent the next 2 days reviewing documents, meeting partners, and tracing the altered files. Arven worked tirelessly, but something had changed. Seraphina no longer treated him like an employee standing across a desk. She listened when he spoke. She asked questions. She noticed when he was tired. One afternoon, after a successful meeting, Arven received a video call from Mira. She proudly showed him the paper crane she had made for him. Seraphina happened to be nearby and saw the little girl's face on the screen. Mira smiled and asked who the serious-looking woman was. Arven expected Seraphina to walk away. Instead, she smiled. It was a small smile, almost unfamiliar on her face, but it changed the atmosphere completely. The investigation eventually uncovered the employee responsible for the forged documents. The company partnership was saved, and Arven's name was cleared. But the greatest victory had nothing to do with money. On their final morning in Tokyo, Arven stood outside the hotel beneath a clear daytime sky. He looked at the city differently now. It no longer felt like the place where he had been abandoned. It had become the place where someone had finally seen him. Seraphina stood beside him and gave him an envelope. Inside was a new company policy guaranteeing extended family leave, flexible travel arrangements for employees with young children, and support for single parents. She told him she had ordered the policy to be created after realizing how many employees had been silently struggling the way he had. Arven looked at her, unable to find the right words. Seraphina simply told him that she had spent years believing strength meant never needing anyone. Arven had shown her that real strength could also mean caring for someone when nobody was watching. When Arven returned home, Mira ran through the airport and jumped into his arms. He held her tightly, closed his eyes, and felt the weight he had been carrying finally begin to disappear. Weeks later, Arven returned to work and discovered that the company felt different. Seraphina still demanded excellence, but she also asked employees about their families. She remembered birthdays. She encouraged parents to leave on time. She even kept a tiny paper crane on her office shelf. Nobody knew where it came from. Arven did. Months later, he received an unexpected invitation to a small family event at the company. Mira came with him. When she saw Seraphina, she immediately handed her another paper crane and told her she needed one too. Seraphina accepted it with tears in her eyes. Sometimes life changes not because someone gives us everything we want, but because someone finally notices what we have been carrying alone. Arven went to Japan believing he had been sent away because he was only an employee. He returned knowing that his kindness, patience, and love for his daughter had changed the heart of the woman who had once seemed incapable of feeling anything at all. And Seraphina learned something even more important: a successful life is not measured only by the empire you build, the money you earn, or the people who know your name. Sometimes the greatest success is becoming the reason another person feels less alone. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Hardworking Dad. Your engagement may seem small, but it helps these stories reach people who need a little hope. And before we end, special request, leave a comment with the words, "Kindness comes back," if you believe that one act of kindness can change someone's entire life. Because sometimes, the person you think you are sending away is the very person who was meant to teach you how to come home.